Kumlenan Ablat Gemara. We are up to the Lamed Amid Aleph. And we are delving into the sugya of Tumah and Tahara. And quickly in the Mishnah, why we brought up Tumah and Tahara in the Gemara we're learning now is in the Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva says that a Sheni, a second generation, is able to pass on the Tumah to a third generation, regardless of whether it's Truma, whether it's Chulun. Then we had another opinion that says that a Sheni never passes on to a Shlishi, not even by Truma. They don't believe in the Kal V'Chema that we discussed yesterday from Tzul Yoim. And then we have Rabbi Yechanan's opinion. He says that when it comes to Truma, we are strict as a third generation, just like Hegdish is a fourth generation. But when it comes to Chulun, it ends to the second generation, end of the line, and we don't call it Tum anymore. We call it Puzzle. So now we are bringing a number of authorities who agree with that sentiment that when it comes to Chulun, doesn't go beyond Shenis. We brought two Tanaim. We're up to Naflam and Aleph. We're continuing down the list. The Gemara is Rabbi Yeshua, right in the middle of the page. How do we know that Rabbi Yeshua also agrees that a Sheni does not make a Shlishi? The Tanan, because we learned in the Mishnah, the Rabbanan decided to add another layer of Tumah to ensure that a person does not go ahead and take it lightly. So the Rabbanan said that if you eat something Tameh, you yourself become Tameh. Food generally cannot pass on Tumah. We learned last time. Food touches a corpse, does not become an Avad Tumah. Food can only pass on Tumah to drink it to other food. But if you eat food that is Tameh, you will become Tameh. What level of Tumah do you have? So we have an argument. Rabbi Lezer says, if you ate food which is the first generation, then Rishon. You yourself will become a Rishon. You will become Tameh like a Rishon. Exactly. And we're talking about you had to eat a certain amount, which is a half a loaf of bread. And then your body becomes exactly like the food that you eat. But what happens if you ate a Sheni, second generation, the Sheni, you become a Sheni. Shlishi, if you ate a Shlishi, now what is Shlishi talking about? The Chaydik could either be talking about Truma. Where do you find a Shlishi? Either by Truma, because we're going to try to establish that by Chulin doesn't exist. So it's going to be either by Truma, or if you can eat Chulin as if it's Truma. Shlishi. So he holds a Shlishi becomes a Shlishi as well. You become Tameh. Rabbi Yeshua disagrees. If you ate Oichel Rishon, then you become a Sheni. You're always the next generation. So if you ate a Rishon, you become a Sheni. But he says Oichel Sheni. But if you ate a Sheni as well, Sheikh Sheni, you become a Sheni. And because nothing beyond a Sheni, so you become a Sheni. Why can a Sheni make a Sheni? If you're saying that it's always the next generation, if you ate a Rishon, the first level, you become the second level. So how is it if you ate the second level become? Because sometimes the second level can produce the second level. How? If mashkin, we made a special excited by liquids. If mashkin comes in contact with a Sheni, it becomes a Rishon. And if that mashkin touches something else, it becomes a Sheni. So it's like a Sheni producing a Sheni. So if you ate a Sheni, you become a Sheni. Shlishi, if you ate a Shlishi, then Sheni b'kodesh. If you ate a Shlishi, then your body becomes a Sheni as far as Kotshim are concerned, which means that you're going to touch something that's going to be able to generate Tumah again and pass it on to another generation. There's only the Rabban. But there ain't Sheni b'Truma. By Truma, there's no law of a Sheni because if you're eating, there's no law of Sheni by Truma. We didn't make this Gzeira by Truma because if it's a Shlishi year anyway, you're not allowed to eat it. So what are we talking about over here? We said before a Shlishi. How do you have a Shlishi? There's no din over here. How do we have a Shlishi? We're talking about Chulin. So where do you find Bachulin? So he says, Bachulin shenasu al taras Truma. Not Truma itself, but not Chulin itself either. Chulin on its own would never go to Shlishi. It's only Chulin if you ate Chulin and because you're a Kohen, and Kohanim have to be very careful at home because everything they touch, they can become a Tameh. So Kohanim will be very careful. So Kohanim decide that all the food they have in the house will treat as if it's Truma, even the Chulin. So they'll be very careful, very cautious. But that's what we're talking about here. Chulin shenasu al taras Truma. That's how you get the Al-Taras Trumin. Only if you ate Chulin like Truma, that's when you can get to Shlishi. Al-Taras Kodesh Loi. Now, different Gisayis. The real Gisay, according to many, is Al-Taras Chulin Loi. If you eat Chulin just as Chulin, no, it doesn't go to Shlishi. It's only because they Chulin Taras HaKodesh. That's what you say. But Rashi also brings this Gis over here that it's Al-Taras HaKodesh. It means Taras HaKodesh doesn't pass on anymore, because as far as Kodesh is concerned, it's as if it's chulin. It says very few people eat such a high level of has such a high level of caution that they're going to treat the whole house as it's kodesh. That's even much beyond truma. So if you're going to say I'm going to eat a taras kodesh, bottle daite it's a koladim, you're no different than it's just ordinary chul. But Asher brings the first gift that even the Sotah Daf he likes better, that al taras chul chulin loy no. Alma, what is he from all of this? Because somebody holds ain't sheni yosef chulin. Sheni does not make a shlishi by chulin. Rabbi Lezer, what's the Torah? Rabbi Lezer, the Tanya we learned. Rabbi Lezer says, Shlosh and Shavim, everyone starts out the same. Everyone starts out with a Rishon, whether it's Chulin, whether it's Truma, whether it's Hegdish, Rishon, Harishon, Shebekaidish, Harishon, Shebekaidish, the Rishon, which is by Kaidish, and Ushebechulin, and Truma. If there's a Rishon by Kodesh and a Rishon by Chulin and a Rishon by Truma, they all start out the same, but the outcomes are different and goes as follows. By Truma, by Kodesh, mit Tam Meshnayim or Praise al Kodesh. If you're a Rishon, then you go to a Sheni, which is Tameh, a Shlishi is Tameh, and then the Revi is Puzzle. So you Metame 2 generations, and the 4th generation is Puzzle. If it's Truma and you're a Rishon, Metame Echad, you make a Sheni, which can still pass on Truma to the Shlishi, so it's called Tameh. And the 3rd generation ends the line, so that's called puzzle. Betruma. What about when it comes to chulin? It says clearly you paisel echad b'chulin. By chulin, if you're a rishon, all you can do is make one more generation, and that's the end of the line. Puzzle. So we clearly see from here that there's no shane, there's not make by chulin. So we're bringing all these different tanoim who say the same thing. Now the Gemara is going to try to bring one more, and this is going to be a discussion. It goes as follows: when you make dough, you have to give challah. When you give challah, it's 1/24 of the dough that you're making, you give challah. If the dough that you're making became tameh inadvertently, unintentionally, so then we say, you know what are you going to do with the challah that you're going to separate is tameh? We burn it. So we'll just do a 48th. No point doing more. If you've been mazed went ahead and you made it tameh, why should you gain? Because you can eat the rest of the food tameh. So we're going to say you're going to gain that. You only have to give a much smaller part away. You got to give a 24th away. Now, other Tanaim say, which we're going to learn right now, if you have tamadika dough, don't give challah from that tamadika dough. Make another dough which is tar, and use that tamadika dough to also include the tamadika dough and give proper challah to a kohen. But we have an issue, and that is called min hamukif. Whenever you give truma or challah, these things, it has to be min hamukif. Now, big machlekes show them how to learn, but most many min hamukif means next door, close by, near on the same table, something. Rational means they have to actually be touching each other. And the problem is, if you're going to have tameh dough and tadik dough touching each other, it comes tameh. Now, let's figure a solution. Another thing is, we learned right in the past, to generate tumah, it have to be the size of an egg. To be makabel tumah, we have a major machlekes throughout Shas between Rashi and Tosfos. According to Rashi, to makabel tumah, even less than a beya, the size of an egg, receives tumah. According to Tosfos, just like you generate tumah is a beya, also to makabel tumah is the beya. Now, what's the relevance of all this? How are you going to give your whole idea is to give tahadiko dough, but if it touches the tamadiko dough, it itself becomes tameh. So this is what we do. We have 3 pieces. We're going to have a tamadiko dough, then another side of a tahadiko dough. Then you take a small piece of the tahadiko dough, less than the size of an egg, and place it between the 2. So now, as far as tumah is concerned, the way Rashi learns that tahadiko dough will become tameh. But it cannot pass on a little piece. But it cannot pass on the tumah to the bigger piece of dough because it's less than the size of an egg. But because it's mukiv, it's all touching each other, it's all contiguous to each other. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. So therefore, the tahadiko dough is touching the tamadiko dough. It's via the middle one, and therefore you can give challah from the tahadiko dough to the thing. So now we're going to have 3 opinions. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Lezer, the Tanam, you learned in the Mishnah. Rabbi Lezer says, challah nitelis. Rabbi Lezer says that challah, you take a tamadika dough and you have a tamadika. So you have a tamadika dough. You take a tamadika dough, and we're talking about if you did it b'mezid. In other words, if you did it b'shay, you just take a 20. Like we said before, take a 48 and you burn it. If you did it b'mezid, we're not going to let you gain. Take a tamadika dough now, and you take from the tar on the tummy. Why? But the thing is, it has to be min hamukif. So what you do is you take the tahadiko dough and make sure you did not give challah from that yet. If you took the tahadiko dough and you gave challah for itself, it's already potter, and you cannot take challah for something already fulfilled its mitzvah and to use it for something else. So before you gave it challah, And what you do is the ketzat shteises. You have two pieces of dough. Achas teir, achas meya. One is Torah, one is tamei. Noitul kedei challah meisa shaloihu. May take enough challah from the dough that was not yet separated. That's a Torah dough. Chalosa. The noisin, and you place pachas mekabeya beemtza. And then you place a size smaller than an egg in between. Now, why you have smaller than an egg is so that even though it will be makabel tumah, it won't pass on tumah to the Torah dough, but it has to be touching. They're little men mukav. In order to be mukav, you need them all touching. Yeah. We call it, yeah. Then what you do is you take the Torah dough, a big piece of Torah dough, and you take challah from that, and you have in mind the tumah goes well. Okay. Says the Gemara further, the flama base on top. The Chachamim Oisri, and the Chachamim say that you cannot do that. See in a minute why. The Chachamim say that you cannot make a Torah dough and use that as challah. You have to use the Tamid dough itself, and then you give challah betumah. The Tanya we learned in another Braisa, so we have two opinions so far. But the Chachamim, others says you take a Torah dough and you do a mukif, and the Chachamim said no, you can't. The Tanya we learned in another Braisa, this Braisa says according to Rabbi Lezer, you do less than the size of an egg. Another I learned kibeya. Another I hold that even the size of an egg, even according to Rabbi Lezer, you take another dough, but you put there the size of an egg in between. Now, how can you do the size of an egg? It'll pass on the tumah. It means that for whatever reason, it does not pass on the tumah to the big dough. And we're going to learn right now, you know why it doesn't according to this Braisa? Because the big dough is chulin. If you didn't give it challah yet, challah as if you didn't give challah yet. So what is it chulin? And a sheni cannot pass on tumah to a shlishi. So this middle challah, even though it's the size of an egg, and it is tamei, so what? You can't make a shlishi. That's going to be the proof that we had. So what's about the opinion of the other Rabbi Lezer says it's less than the size of an egg? Are they arguing on this very point? Is that he's saying that no, that sheni does pass on to a shlishi? So the Gemara is going to explain that we think right now the argument is a dough that's being set aside in order to give challah. Does it already have the status of challah? In other words, it's already considered like truma, or do we say it's still considered chulin until you physically separate the challah? And that's going to be the machlekes. If we treat it already like truma, then l'sheni will make a shlishi. That's why the Blazer says less than the size of an egg. We don't want to pass on the tumah. And the Braisa says it could be the size of an egg holds that it's only chulin because you didn't separate the challah yet. And because of chulin, by chulin there's no such thing as a shlishi. So we're going to bring a raya from here. But in principle, everyone agrees by chulin, a shein is make a shlishi. The only arguing is this considered chulin or not. So this is the third time that we want to bring, or the fifth time we want to bring that whole shein does not pass on. The Gemara is not going to be so happy. Says the Gemara, everyone thought the first dough was a rish. The chul and the dough in the middle will come a sheni, and chulin had chulin lechallah, that new big piece of dough that you have set aside in order to make challah like a challah. Not challah, it's really chulin. My last, what's a machlek is bahakam in this argument. Asavat ein sheni oiser shlishi b'chulin. You can have the size of an egg, even though it's a sheni and its tamei does not pass on tumah any further. Now, Masav, another whole sheni oiser shlishi b'chulin. Oh, the sheni makes the shlishi b'chulin. Therefore, you need the dough in the middle to be less than the size of an egg, so it should not be able to pass it on. So first we say that before we say what I just told you, we're saying right now that in itself is an argument. Whether by chulin, right now, according to both opinions, we're treating the Torah dough as if it's chulin, and the question is, can a sheni make a shlishi? If a sheni makes a shlishi, then make sure it's less than the size of an egg. If a sheni doesn't make a shlishi, it can be the size of an egg. So you want to know. We're going to rather say that everyone holds a sheni. There's no machlekes that everyone agrees a sheni is not making sheni b'chulin. The question is that large piece of dough a chulin or truma? They're arguing that very point. Since you set it aside to make challah as if it's already challah, as if it's truma, and therefore by truma there's a shlishi. That's why make sure you reduce the size of an egg. Another one holds that it's not like challah. Yeah, another answer is the kuliyam. Everyone holds chulin hatfulin lechallah like a challah. Everyone holds that chulin, that tfulin lechallah is not. Everyone holds that piece of dough is not challah, and everyone holds that a sheni, the ain't sheni, everyone holds that the sheni is not passing chulin. So the question is, how can the opinion that why the Blazer say should be staffed in the size less than the size of an egg, or the chachamim who argue say, "B'chlal, we don't like this whole idea. What are you worried about? You're not passing on into anything else." Here the question is the mutter ligrim tumah l'chula Yisrael. You're not Israel, it's a holy land, and what you're doing here is making a piece of dough in between tummy. Forget about passing on tumah. It will not pass on the tumah. You know what the problem is? This piece of dough right here, you're making tummy, and we don't want the Israel proliferate tumah. Even though it doesn't want to be any further, we don't want it to proliferate tumah in Israel. That's the machlekes. Ma'asava mutter ligrim tumah l'chula. You're allowed to make tumah l'chula Israel, and therefore you can make a dough the size of an egg. Now, why? Even everyone should agree. We don't want tumah, but here you have a good cause. The reason why you're making this tumah is so they can give proper challah on the tumah that you think. Otherwise, you burn it. So they say that even though generally we all agree that you don't want to generate more, proliferate more tumah to Israel, but when you have a good reason to, then do it. Another opinion says no. Why do you have to do an egg? Let's reduce the size to less than an egg. I agree that there's a good cause here, but there's a way of sort of circumventing the proliferation, because if it can be the size of an egg, it can pass to others or whatever it is. Have it less than the size of an egg is all good. And the Chachamim say, don't even have that. The fact is, even less than the size of an egg, you just make tumah right here. We don't want any tumah. Therefore, we just go to the tumah of dough and take a piece out and do your dough. That's machlekes.
The size of challah in terms of eggs.
43 and the fifth egg. Yes, that's the size of the dough. Umar savar also legal tumah l'chul Israel. You're not allowed to cause any tumah in the whole Israel. Okay. Then we had in the Mishnah said by B'yayim, we finished the laws of Tumatara. Mishnah said by B'yayim, we talk about over there. It says by the city of Levim, you have two psukim. One part says they get 1,000 around the city, they get an area of 1,000 amas. Another part says they get 2,000 amas. So we therefore, according to Rabbi Akiva, we say that the first 1,000 amas is what they get around there. The 2,000 amas, the laws of Shabbos. It's called Tchum Shabbos. Tchum Shabbos is 2,000 amas. And the other opinion says no, they're both talking about not talking about Shabbos at all, because there's no tchumen in Shabbos at all. Maybe 12, if we had more area of design there, maybe 12 meal is Mahatayda. But 2,000 is definitely not Mahatayda. And what is the machlekes here? And what is the two psukim? One pasuk talking about vacant space, parkland, and the other one's talking about for your animal fodder, you give another, and for your vineyards, another 1,000. Actually, the way we learn is Rashi Pshat. He's 1,000 for this and 1,000 for that. The Rambam learns it's 1,000 plus 2,000. 1,000 is park space, and then we give you another Madosh. We give you another 2,000 amas for your vineyards and your animals. And that's all considered part of the peripheral of the city, part of the perimeter, the perimeter of the city. So the Gemara. Tell them we learned. He went from. So I just skipped one. What's the argument? That I said one holds chumin outside. Masav de Rabban. Taisha here brings a list of other Gemaras where we bring other psukim, like I had in the design. Al Yaitse Ish Mekoymai. We live and don't leave your place. And one opinion is we're talking about one place we say Gemara in Shavuos and in Shabbos we say talking about Hoitzo, and carry out. But in Erva we say that it's talking about Chum Shabbos. Don't leave your area of 2,000 amas. Another part here we have here is Shavah, and it remains the question: why do we need all of these to Chum Lamud? Okay, then we had another discussion at Baby Yom. How did they sing Oz Yasha? They were divinely inspired. Oz Yasha Moshe Hashem Vayom Ruleim. What's this Vayom Ruleim? Lema usually they want you to pass it on, but here they all did it together. So what is it? They all were excited and they were all going to sing a song. Ketzad, interesting. It says in the pasuk Oz Yasha they will sing. So the Gemara learns that in Sanhedrin Bekant Chis Hameish V'Natayda. I believe Levi writes that actually there was such ma'aminim Hashem when Hashem told them, Moshe told them we are going to cross the Yam. The Eden sang right then. They didn't wait till they crossed the Yam, and they said, "Oz Yashem Moshe." So we're soon going to sing it again because they had such a mun and betach and David. So Kate said, "Amru Rushida, how did they sing it? Was there a refrain, a chorus, or how did it work?" So we say Kigogla Mak is halal. If an adult reads halal for you, you don't have to say the words. You could be yotze by the adult saying the halal, but do you have to respond? Is it like a common refrain? They answer back the beginning of the Pedic, which means you started the first paragraph Halukah, for example, in halal. You said Halukah, the Eden answer Halukah. After every pasuk they would say Halukah. When it came to the Mitzrayim, Rashi holds they said whatever the first pasuk was, that became the chorus. He said a sentence, it says Moshe, so on and so forth. According to the Rambam and others, they said Halukah, every pasuk is Halukah till the very end, because you don't have to really say anything at all. Because in fact, we had more sukkahs of Lamaches, have Shemei Ka'ina. You just listen, that's good enough. Moshe Omar Ashil Hashem, Hinay Mashil Hashem. Moshe Omar Kigoy Go, Hinay Mashil Hashem. So the refrain was Ashil Hashem. They kept on repeating it over. Here's only one paragraph. Rabbi Lezer, not like a godel who reads Hallel for people, but a cotton makis Hallel. Like a cotton who reads Hallel for people. And by a cotton, when a cotton is mighty somebody, the only way to be mighty is you have to say word for word. So they repeat after him everything he said. Says a few words. Says Moshe Amar Shil Hashem, Hinam Shil Hashem. Moshe Amar Ki Goy Go, Hinam Ki Goy Go. So that's the lamer. Lamer is repeat after me. So he kept saying, whatever he said, they repeated after him. Rab Nechemia says Keseifer. We call him a sefer, which either is a teacher Malamed Tanekis. And the Gemara Kedusha, we had the sefer because they used to count the letters. Others say we're talking about a chazne. But Kesefer hapoides al shma beis knesses. When you have, like the Sfardim have today, they don't have a chazan in shul till baruch hu. Everybody sits in the chairs there and they say together. It's only when they get up, poides al shma. Somebody gets up. Poides means half. So you're saying half of the davening, or you're saying the two brachas for bichus fishwa and shma. So how's it work there? Over there, you have someone who leads, and as soon as he starts, then everyone says Shema together. They all know the words. It's not like you lead and then we say after you. You lead and we say after you, like the way we do it. It's like this Fardim. They all say it together. He just starts it out. And they say after him, and they all say in unison together. So these are the three opinions. The Mike can make good argument. Rabbi Kiva says, Leimer is a milsa kamaisa. Rabbi Kiva said when he says Leimer means say the first words that I say, I want you to repeat. So the refrain, the chorus. Everything is Ashil Hashem Ki Goy, that's all he said. And he kept on saying that after every sentence. Every single thing that I start, I want you to finish. And means they all said it together. They all said it together. The pasuk Moshe Bereisha, like Lamer, the Moshe started off. I want you to say, I'm going to start. Lamer, now you all say together with me. Now, how in the world will they know to say the words? They say together. It's not like Shema that you say 3 times a day, so you know. So Rashi says that they all had Ruach HaKodesh, and the Ruach HaKodesh were mechavan to be able to say it together. It's an amazingness that every Yid had Ruach HaKodesh. They knew exactly what Moshe was going to say, and they said it together with him. Oh, that's true, yeah. So the first act of the machlekes. Yeah, so the first time was kekayed, like a sefer cotton, and the second time they did, yeah, very good. Says about it further. Tell me, learned. The Eden crossed the Yam, Nosnu Enem, Lamish. They all were inspired, and they wanted to express their gratitude to the Eibishter. The Ketzad Amru, how did they? The Ketzad, how it work? Amru Shida, how did they say Shida? Oilel. Oil says oil is a bit older than a yonik. A yonik is an infant, and oil is a tot. Is oil mutala bika ima? The oil is sitting there on the knee of his mother. The tinuk yonik ima. The tinuk, the infant, is suckling from his mother. And kivin shiro the shchina. As soon as they saw the shchina, oil is be at savari, and the oil lifted its neck because it's lying there on the mother's lap. And tinuk shamal the people, which is a greater effort. It's hungry, eating. It would remove and stop feeding and to look up. They said Zekeli Vandeyu. So they recognized Abisha, he saved them from the aggression. And it says, Mipi Oilim the Yankim, you started to establish your strength. By the Meiraim, and May said, I go further than that. Menayin Shafilu Ubrim Shibameyimun. The fetus inside the womb, Amru Shida, they sang as well, but it says, the Makheles Baruchu Al Hayam, the Makheles Baruchu Lakim. In gatherings, they benched Hashem, and we learned that from Makheles, the Gemara Ksuvas we had, that you need a minion when you do Shabbat Brachas. Mimokar Yisrael. And Mimokar, he died. Mimokar Yisrael means from the womb of the mother, which gives birth to the Eden. So it means even, I don't need a minion when to say Shabbat Brachas. Talks about Boyas over there. So we say that Makel Baruch Mimokar Yisrael. We don't use the word Makelas. We use, look up Shubas again. Look up after we share. Mimokar Yisrael. Now, Memokah Yisrael, the obvious question is, if the fetus is inside the mother's womb, how in the world does it see the Eibush? It can believe. How can it say? They don't see. that the stum becomes like an Akspaklar Yamid, you're able to see. Now, what exactly is Akspaklar Yamid? So many types of Akspaklar Yamid means they can see through, but the Maimer it says aggressing glass, magnifying glass. How does it work over here? What would a magnifying glass help if you can't see through the skin? Unless a Akspaklar Yamid has a few types. Okay.